you can't talk about old Linux or retro Linux without talking about Red Hat. So now, Red Hat of today, people know Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is you pay a support fee for, and you pay for it if you have more than, I think, 16 workstations, and of course, you can get the uh, rebuilt Red Hat Enterprise Linux without the branding, using so many various new distros out there. Rocky and Alna both come to mind, and of course, back in the day, used to be CentOS. And if you want to use Red Hat more for the desktop, you can either use one of those distros and use their desktop install, or of course Fedora. But long before Fedora existed and Red Hat Enterprise Linux existed, you got Red Hat. That's right, Red Hat, long before the split of Fedora and Enterprise Linux. So, what I'm going to show you today is Red Hat Linux 9. Not Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, just Red Hat 9. So, let's go take this trip down memory lane. I'm just going to call this machine Red. Give it 4 gigs of memory. Give it just a bit more space. And go to settings. And again, like these old distros, of course, you need to kind of make sure that the system sees them as IDE, because not all of them had the correct SATA drivers. So I'm going to start it up. Okay, this was Red Hat Linux 9, second edition, and you could install it either from the graphics mode or the CLI. Let's just do graphics mode. Okay, even from back in the day, Red Hat used the Anaconda Installer, and as opposed to today's installer, looked very different. Okay, so here we had the basic installer. Hit next, 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 next. Do we want personal desktop, workstation, server? I'm just going to do personal desktop. Automatic partitioning because I'm lazy. And it would automatically install all of them, including the bootloader. Find DHCP. Going to disable firewall option. English US is fine. And let's give this an extremely strong password. Just going to do that quickly. Click next. Okay, that's fine. Install. And as you can see, it's busy formatting the file system. Depending on who you ask, it's some people would almost say that the old version of Anaconda Installer, aka this version, is more easier to use than the current Anaconda version. But again, that's up to you. There was a time where Red Hat used to win multiple awards and was extremely, extremely popular, even on the desktop. And of course, Red Hat back then was free. Yes, free as in what you can do with it, and free as in beer as well. Which made it extremely accessible for a lot of people. And yeah, of course, the closest equivalent to this today is Fedora. So, pretty quick installation process. I think it's going to ask me for a different disk any second now. And the default desktop for Red Hat was GNOME. And let's be honest, to this day, it still is GNOME as their default interface as well. Interesting to see it actually included Emacs by default. A lot of distros in later years didn't actually include Emacs. And yeah, if you were using it in enterprise, you could of course use Red Hat Enterprise back then as well, especially for the servers, and it was considered to be more reliable, especially with some of the older packages. Pretty similar to the same Red Hat Enterprise Linux that we get today. Okay, next disk already. That was pretty quick. Okay, I see it is installing K desktop games as well. We don't want to create a boot disk. No. Next. Okay, our graphics. Yeah, I think the Visa is probably going to be the best option. Hopefully it gives us a relatively decent resolution. Okay, not the greatest, but hopefully it starts up after the reboot. Pretty excited to see good old Red Hat again. It's been a very long time since I've seen the old Red Hat. I did used to use it on the desktop as well when I was much younger. But to be honest, I always used to go back then Debian based distros. Of course, remember of this time in Red Hat, RPM packages, you would often get RPM hell or dependency hell, and back then Debian or apt was considered the better system to use for packages. Though these days it's pretty much of a muchness. As you can see here, nice simple welcome screen, creating a user account. So let's just go ahead and do that. And create an extremely strong password. FYI, old Linux distros do not allow you to have a password less than 5 or 6 characters. Okay, we don't want to register the system. We're not going to use any additional CDs, and we're going to finish the setup. Okay, definitely Red Hat. No touch about the branding there. And let's log in. Bam, nice and quick. Okay, notification tool for the network alert tool. That's fine, just letting us know about any form of updates or anything. Just going to exit that. Okay, so let's see if I can do anything about the display resolution quickly. Provided I know where to go. Oh, there we go. Asking me for root, that's fine. I think I entered the wrong password. Yeah, of course I did. Oh, okay, cool. Let's do this one. What? You need to log out and log in again. Oh, man. Well, things have changed. Hopefully I didn't balk this. I guess I'm going mad. I don't think I actually did anything. Did I do something wrong? It just didn't accept it. Okay, well, sorry about that. Anyway, so this here is GNOME 2.21 and normal Red Hat branding. At the bottom, some quite useful and out there icons. Clearly shows what it is. Back then, of course, using OpenOffice 1.102, which you could also go ahead and register. If you wanted to run a printer configuration tool, you could just use it from over there. if you were going to surf the internet, you would have Mozilla-based browser 1.12, which of course looks very similar to good old Netscape. You had Emacs installed, your preferences, your control center. That's pretty decent. Your control center was very similar to the Windows control panel. And you would go from preferences, and if you just click on control center, you would end up in a seriously weird loop. Your file management, so how you're going to configure GNOME, your preferred applications. Let that just spin around a bit. Your theme, could just change it normally like good old GNOME. And here we go. You could change which web browser did you want, which text editor did you want, which terminal did you want to use. Hardware browser, you wanted to know more info of what's on the machine. Now, all of the as much as things have changed, in many ways they've stayed pretty much exactly the same. And this really had quite a bit of additional software pre-installed as a normal installation. Even got a Chromium is there, so that's pretty interesting. Let's see, file management, C properties about myself, more preferences. We've taken a look at that. Let's take a look at a terminal. So I want to check the memory. Use 265 megs, absolutely not much memory at all. Use 1.7 gig install, not much really. And then let's just check the kernel. 2.4.20 for big memory usage, and this was put on Thursday, May 29th, 2003. And if I was to do an ls, okay, the normal stuff in the home folder, and if we were to just go check root, how that was to look, again, normal default layout of the day, not really much changes to be observed there at all. So pretty decent. I just want to find the add and remove applications. Here we go. So you could, for example, back then go and choose a different desktop environment if you wanted. Or if you wanted additional tools, you would click on it, so like System Tools, hit Details, and then you'll get to the next screen. And then, for example, you could choose the Amanda client for tape backups or VNC, whatever you needed to do. A little different than today, but really not much. I did like the Start Here option, which you could click on and it would give you a whole menu of what's installed, what applications you can use as well. Kind of sad they don't still do it like this. Guess I'm just old school. I just like seeing stuff done this way. Old XMS volume control. Oh, well, I haven't seen this in years. Called the different line ins, line outs, and speaker config. So yeah, not really too much else to actually show you. This was just what it looked like back in the day, and really not too much has changed. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and look forward to reading your comments. Bye.